The clips in this video are from contests prior to the outbreak of COVID-19 and may not represent best practices in the current climate. Please refer to the Resocialization of Collegiate Sport, Developing Standards for Practices and Competition on ncaa.org for new guidance specific to the prevention of community spread of COVID-19 in the athletics setting. Like all NCAA sports, volleyball rule changes are made on a 2-year cycle, and 2020 is a rules change year. The NCAA Women's Volleyball Rules Committee has created this video to communicate the rule changes, interpretations, clarifications, and points of emphasis for the 2020 season. We will include some of the same visual training and language that is used to train officials who attend the preseason NCAA PAVO national clinics. The committee hopes that if coaches, players, and officials all hear a consistent message, the implementation of these changes will be as uneventful as possible. These are the members of the NCAA Women's Volleyball Rules Committee who met in January 2020. The committee meets in person each January. In even-numbered years, the committee reviews all the rules proposals and considers rule changes for the coming season. In odd-number years, the committee develops rules clarifications, points of emphasis, and discusses new trends and topics submitted by coaches and administrators. Annually, the committee reviews all rule change proposals that have been submitted by coaches and administrators, as well as the results of the coaches' survey and injury reports. In addition to the in-person meeting each January, the committee has monthly conference calls during the volleyball season. Once the Volleyball Rules Committee votes to approve the rule changes, they are sent to PROP, that is Playing Rules Oversight Panel, which is an NCAA committee that reviews rules for all NCAA sports. PROP is charged with considering financial impact, safety issues, or concerns about the integrity of the game. Once PROP approves the rules changes, they are put into effect. Let's review the representatives that make up the current committee. As you can see, there are 8 voting members on the Rules Committee. 4 are from Division I, and there are 2 each from Division II and Division III. Terms for committee members begin on September 1st each year, and there is a staggered rotation of terms, so there will be new members joining the committee each September. The contact information for the committee members can be found on the NCAA website at ncaa.org/. Please feel free to contact any of the committee members with your thoughts or concerns about the rules. You may also contact the Secretary Rules Editor, Ann Pufall, who works with the committee to develop the actual rules language and interpretation for the Women's Collegiate Volleyball rules. Administrative sanction. The administrative red card, 1 point, will be assessed to a team wearing non-compliant uniforms. This is a one-time penalty that will be assessed prior to the first set or when the issue is discovered, and does not change the service order. The red card will not impact individual and team sanctions. The referees will inform the coach during warm-ups that their uniforms are non-compliant. For example, the numbers do not contrast with the jersey color. The referees will ask the coach to have the team change into compliant uniforms with contrasting numbers. If the team cannot comply, the administrative sanction will be assessed prior to the first service authorization. Once the match begins, if a substitute tries to enter wearing a non-compliant uniform, for example a dark navy jersey when the rest of the team is wearing a black jersey, the referees will not allow that player to enter until they are wearing a compliant uniform. The administrative sanction should only be used when the entire team is wearing non-compliant uniforms, and the team would have to default the match. In situations where the team has sufficient legal players, those players in non-compliant uniforms are not allowed to play. Let's look at some examples. The libero's jersey does not contrast with her teammates. The libero can put on a contrasting jersey, or the team can play without a libero. Two players are wearing long-sleeve jerseys, and the rest of the team is wearing short sleeves. The two players can change into short sleeves, or the team can play without those players, as long as the team has 6 legal players. One player is wearing navy spandex, and the rest of the team is wearing black spandex. The player can change into black spandex or not play, as long as they have 6 legal players. A match will never be defaulted because of illegal uniforms. Rule 7.1.1.1, Leggings. With the exception of the libero, teammates must wear uniform tops of the same color, style, cut, and trim. Uniform bottoms may differ in style and cut. For example, shorts, spandex of varying lengths, pants, or skirts, but must be identical in color and trim. The change to this rule is highlighted in blue. The previous rule required the teammates' uniform bottoms to be identical. Waivers were needed for medical, social, and religious exceptions. Due to a surprising increase in the number of waiver requests over the past 2 seasons, the new rule allows any type of uniform bottoms as long as they are the same color and trim as the teammates. Rule 7.1.3.4, Flag. There have been several requests recently about having an American flag on the team uniform. It is permissible to have an American flag on the team uniform as long as the flag does not interfere with the visibility of the uniform number and all teammates' uniforms still match. Although the American flag has always been allowed on the team's uniform, it was not noted in the rules book in past years. The national flag of the NCAA member institution may be worn on the jersey. It cannot exceed 2¼ square inches. Volleyball has the same language as other NCAA sports. Notice the rule does not say American flag. That is because the NCAA has teams playing from other countries in some sports. For example, Canadian teams could wear the Canadian flag on their jerseys. Please note, the rule refers to the institution's national flag. If a foreign player is playing for an American university, only the American flag may be on the jersey. For conference matches only, Rule 8.4.2, 8.4.2.3.1, and 8.4.2.3.5. Promotional activities. The host may use the entire playing area for promotional activities with the following guidelines. For the intermission between all sets, the court must be cleared with a minimum of 30 seconds remaining on the countdown clock. Conferences may determine the length of the promotional activities at their discretion, provided the court is clear with 30 seconds remaining on the countdown clock. The full court may be used for promotional activities only, not spirit squads. If the visiting team's half of the playing area is used, the home team's playing area must be used. Team huddles must be protected from errant balls and objects. All non-conference matches must follow Rule 8.4 without exception. Rule 8.4.2.3.1, Intermission. If an intermission is used, it occurs between the second and third sets and is no longer than 5 minutes in duration. Interpretation. If the players are leaving the court at intermission, starting the clock may be delayed until the players have left the court, maximum of 45 seconds. If the coaches are delayed leaving the court due to media interviews, the same concurrent delay may be used. This interpretation has been added to allow teams more opportunity to get to their locker rooms, or in case a coach needs to stay behind for media interviews. We want to ensure that teams get their full 5 minutes between sets 2 and 3, so the timer can delay starting the interval clock for a maximum of 45 seconds to allow the players to leave the court. The delay is not allowed for coaches to meet on the court before going to the locker room. If neither team is leaving the playing area and no media interviews are taking place, The clock will be started immediately. Rule 17.2.3, Tournament Protest Procedures. The protest procedure for tournament situations where the match schedule is dependent on a previous match have been modified. We have added the same used in a non-tournament situation before the protest committee or interpreter makes the final decision. New language has been added. 17.2.2.1, Play is suspended. Referee, coaches, and playing captains consult the rules book. 17.2.2.2, if a protest is found to be valid, referee's decisions changed. As a result of the rules book consultation, play continues from the point of the protest with the correct decision implemented. 17.2.2.3, if a protest is denied, referee's decision stands. As a result of the rules book consultation, play continues as if no protest had occurred. If no decision can be made by consulting the rules book, continue with the procedures in 17.2.3. Rule 19.5.2.3, Line Judge Duties. When requested by the first referee, line judges may provide assistance when a player touches the antenna while playing the ball. In the past, the line judge duties were restricted to making calls only when the ball contacted the antenna. Now, if referees want additional information, they may call the line judge over to clarify whether the ball or a player contacted the antenna. Rule 19.5.2.5, Line Judge Duties. When requested by the first referee, line judges can provide assistance if a player is not in contact with the playing area when she contacts a ball over a non-playing area. Let's watch an example. The player in white clearly plays a ball over the non-playable area, but the first referee's view of the player's feet was blocked by the table. The new rule allows the first referee to ask the line judge if the player was in contact with the playable area when she played the ball. CRS, Challenge Review System. The rest of the 2020-2021 rule changes have to do with the Challenge Review System. Rule 18.1.3.2, Review Official. A review official may be used to decide the outcome of a challenge by viewing the video instead of the second referee. Any member institution or conference may use a review official, but there is no requirement to do so. The SEC has been experimenting with a review official for the past 2 seasons. The data indicates that challenges are resolved faster when a review official is used, but the outcomes, call confirmed, reversed, or stands, are statistically the same. Rule 18.1.5.6, CRS, Player Location. While the challenge is being reviewed, the starting players must remain on the court. The non-playing members and bench personnel may approach their sideline outside of the substitution zone. This is the current practice and has been in other CRS documents, but this language was not in the rules book. During a challenge review, the players currently in the game must remain on the court. The coaches, non-playing members, and bench personnel may approach the sideline beyond the substitution zone. Rule 18.1.3.5, Equipment. Challenge Review System, Challenge Cards. The challenge cards must be a minimum of 3 by 5 inches, not to exceed 4 by 6 inches. The color is jasmine green, Pantone color 150545. The card must be laminated. This is our current practice and has been included in other CRS documentation. It is now officially in the rules. Rule 18.1.4.1, In-Out Touch Net Antenna. A modification has been made to the faults that can be determined on a video review. Ball ruled in or out, as defined by Rules 16.2.1 and 16.2.2, whether the ball contacted a player and whether a player touched the net or antenna. The highlighted language was added to this rule. The rule was modified to help officials get it right, which was one of the original goals for the challenge review system. There have been many times when a coach challenges a touch on the opponent and the referee sees the player's hand hit the net or antenna when reviewed. Now the referees can call the first fault seen during a challenged action. Here is a play from last season. The ball hit out by Texas in orange, and the line judge indicates a touch. The first referee signals touch and awards the ball to Texas. Note that all Texas players immediately indicated missed a net fault on Stanford. On review, the second referee determines there was not a touch by Stanford. Last season, the referee could not call the net fault since the challenge was limited to in-out touch only. This season, the second referee can call the Stanford net contact seen in the video, even though the challenge was touch. The new rule will allow the referees to look for a net fault or antenna fault that is seen during a challenged in-out touch action. The referees cannot go back and watch the entire rally. The coach and the referee must come to an agreement about the specific challenged action. Rule 18.1.4, ball contacting a player. Rule 18.1.4.1, whether the ball contacted a player, including 18.1.4.1, a ball that may have contacted a player or players before landing out of bounds. 18.1.4.2, a team that may have had 4 or more ball contacts before returning to the opponent's court. 18.1.4.3, a player who may have contacted the ball twice in 2 separate and distinct attempts to play the ball. This section of the rules book, which delineates categories of challengeable calls, has been reorganized to allow the addition of some new language expanding the categories of challengeable calls. But let's make sure we understand the scope and limitations of the new category. This is the new category that has been added to challengeable calls. 18.1.4.4. A decision on an illegal attack, illegal block, or contact over the opponent's court. That is dependent on whether there was contact by an involved player. The position and/or height of the ball or player is not challengeable. Note that the only issue that can be challenged with this new category is whether a player touched the ball during the actions. These decisions still cannot be challenged when determining whether an illegal back row block, back row attack, or reach over has occurred. Whether the ball was completely higher than the top of the net, whether a player was reaching above the top of the net, whether the ball was in the plane of the net. In this video, the referees called a back row attack on the setter on the left. Her coach can now challenge that she did not touch the ball, which appears to be accurate. The other criteria for a back row block decision are automatically assumed since a fault was called, is that the setter was reaching higher than the top of the net and was near enough to the net to be illegal, or else the call would not have been made in the first place. Remember, the new category only permits challenges about whether the player touched the ball. Whether or not the ball is entirely above the height of the net is not challengeable. Let's view this video. Watch the first referee. The first referee indicated that the ball was below the height of the net. Therefore, the coach cannot challenge that an illegal back row block occurred. Rule 18.1.5.7, replay. If a replay is indicated at the end of the play, either team may challenge whether a fault occurred during the play. If the video review results in a fault, the team that lost the point after review would be able to challenge an earlier fault during the same play. Before this year, neither team could challenge if a play was called. Now, either team can challenge. In this video, neither referee nor line judges signaled the result of the play. The first referee signaled replay. The team in red's coach tried to challenge in-out at the end of the play. The second referee did not accept the challenge, which was correct. This year, the referee can accept that challenge. Rule 18.1.5.8 Procedures. Once a team challenges, their number of challenges is reduced by one challenge regardless of the outcome. This is our current practice and has been in other CRS documentation, but this language was not in the rules book. Editorial changes. One minor change in blue. The exception is noted here because we allow the coach to add a libero if the omission of the libero's number on the lineup is caught before the first service. The 2020 season is right around the corner. Good luck as you begin play, and thanks for taking the time to become more familiar with the rule changes and clarifications for the upcoming season.